mean, I've got tears in my eyes talking about it now. It's so cute. Hi and welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Mathilde, I'm a French knitter, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate it. Now, I've been posting videos, but I've not uploaded a new podcast in a while. I think it's been a little over a month, so I have things to say, but also not as much as you would maybe expect from me from over a month of knitting. But we'll get into that. So in this podcast, I'm going to share one finished object, which I'm wearing as always. And then I'm going to talk about two whips that you've seen before, although one I think you didn't really see, I just mentioned it, I was going to cast on. And then three new cast-ons actually. I've been a little bit crazy with the cast-on energy, but there's a reason for it. Again, we're going to get into that. There's going to be one project I'm not going to show you, which is my Dagmar sweater, which I haven't been working on. I worked on it. I started a shoulder, but I'm going to have to rip back and start over. And so I thought it would be best to talk about that once I've actually done that shoulder again, and I can share more about, you know, why I ripped back, what I was trying to do and everything. Once that's done, I can share it hopefully in the next podcast, but to be honest, I'm not sure when I'm going to go back to knitting on it because I've been having arm pain again. This is really frustrating. As you know, I knit a lot. I knit almost every second of every day that I can. But that does mean that obviously my arm is in a lot of pain sometimes. And I think what kind of triggered this is one of the projects I'm going to talk about, which is the November vest that I'm knitting for my grandma, which is a brioche project that always kind of hurts my arm a little bit. The Dagmar sweater as well is a little bit painful to work on. I think it's a mix of the yarn itself, which is a little bit rustic, but also the honeycomb cable is a little bit tricky to, not tricky, but it's a bit painful. And so over the time, both of those projects, like when I was working on them kind of at the same time, that didn't help. And then I went on a frenzy and I finished this sweater really quickly. And I think maybe I should have pumped the brake a little bit on that, but I didn't, and so I'm having a bit of arm pain. So I've been casting on some projects to see if working on smaller needles was going to help or not. It didn't, but that's okay. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from knitting. I'm going to be doing some more exercises to improve my muscles or to muscle up a bit more, because I think my issue is with my back. My upper back, my shoulders, they don't have enough. They're not muscly. Oh, my English day. Okay, that's gonna be a tough podcast, but hopefully you guys don't mind. Let's talk about what I've been knitting on, and maybe we can get into what I'm gonna be doing next. So first up, let's talk about what I'm wearing, which is the Legs V-neck Pullover by Ozetta. I am obsessed with this project. I have been wearing it a ton since I finished it, which I think was about 2 weeks ago. I really loved the idea of this project. I really loved the look of it. But I was always like, is this a case of it being popular just because it's a gorgeous pattern, but then it's not actually going to fit me? It's not actually going to be a construction that suits my body type. So I was really cautious. I don't want to use the word reluctant, but I was like, should I cast it on or not? Is it going to be worth it? But I wanted to try, and I think this is, at least for me, this was a great pattern to try this saddle shoulder construction with, because it was a very quick knit. I think I knitted it on 5.5mm needles, and it took me like a little bit over 2 weeks. Again, that's probably why my arm is painful. But yeah, it was a really quick knit, also because it's a stockinette project, so it was really mindless. And because the shoulder, like the saddle shoulders, they're really quite wide, they take up a lot more knitting than you think. So when you have finished the saddle shoulders and you're starting the back and then the front, everything goes really quickly, and then you're very quickly joined in the round, and then it's just stockinette, mindless stockinette in the round, which is gorgeous. So yeah, it was really quick to finish it. I used Gilliatt by Natura in the colorway Tempête, which is this beautiful yarn. This is the first, like my first entry in my own cal that I'm running along Sandra from Enzonit on Instagram, which is called the Navy cal. This isn't a like completely navy blue yarn, it's a little bit more muted over the navy, but it's still a dark blue, so that counts. It's not going to be hopefully my last navy entry, but that will depend on the arm. I'm going to stop talking about my arm, I promise. This yarn was gifted to me for Christmas by my brother-in-law, and we'll talk about the project cost at the end. But yeah, I really enjoyed this process. Really enjoyed this project. I really like Ozetta's patterns because they're very mindless. Like, I didn't want to think about anything when I was knitting this pattern. So this is basically 2 pattern, except maybe the length of the ribbing on the sleeve, because that was dependent on my arm length. But even I think the body I knitted to the length specified in the pattern. And yeah, I didn't have to like think back on something, figure out if the numbers were right or not. I didn't have any issue, at least for my size, which I think was size medium. And yeah, the kind of annoying thing, which isn't really like, that's not Ozetta's fault, but I barely broke into my last skein. Like, I weighed it earlier and it's 100 grams still, so I think I didn't even use a gram, except maybe if this ball had a little bit over, but I broke into it just to finish the ribbing on the sleeve. So I had, I think, 2 rows to do, which were the 2 rows of the 2 rounds of double knitting, and then the bind off, and that's it. So that was a little bit frustrating, but obviously, you know, that happens, that's fine. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this leftover ball. So if you have any idea for 100 grams of Gilliatt, let me know. I don't. I've got so much yarn left over from projects, which is not enough to justify, for example, using it in a blanket project, or it's more than enough, or like, how do I say that? I have more than just a tiny quantity. I've got like maybe a bowl left over, or a bowl and a bit left over, and so it's just not enough for a project, not enough for a baby project even, because sometimes it's got mohair attached with it. So do I just use it on its own? But then what do I use the mohair for? But I don't want to use mohair for a baby project, for example. So yeah, let me know what you do with your yarn, like leftovers, with your scraps. If you've got any pattern suggestions, I mean, I know Kika's got a really gorgeous the stripe happy sweater, which some people use their leftovers from, but like, for example, the colors that I've got, they just don't go well together. Like, I've got a leftover Gilliatt in a Bordeaux, like a burgundy. I can't do a color work with that because there's not going to be enough contrast between those two. So yeah, if you've got any suggestions, I would love to hear them. But let's talk about the project stats for this. Actually, before I get into the project stats, let's talk about the yarn, because I've been wearing it for 2 weeks, so I can give you a little bit more of an insight of how it wears. And also because my partner has a sweater in this yarn that he's been wearing non-stop this winter, and so I can see how it wears. It is peely a bit. It does peel. It looks a little bit rough when you first like look at it. Not rough, but it looks like it's gone through some things. But it otherwise wears pretty well, and I feel like if I put the care into it, like if I depeel it, if I wash it again, I feel like it's gonna be really sturdy, and it softens as it wash, like the more you wash it. And I really like this yarn, and I would really like to try it with a mohair because I feel like that combination would be really gorgeous and would make this merino wool peel a bit less, at least on the first wears. Also, it has a lovely drape. It's quite light, I would say. Like, this sweater is pretty warm, despite it being a bit of a v-neck. So obviously it's going to be a bit less warm than a v-neck, than a round neck or a mock neck or whatever. But it's pretty warm, but it's pretty light nonetheless. So I'll try to get a clip of the drape of this fabric, but it's really quite nice. So project stats for this. So I cast this on the 19th of January and I finished it on the 7th of February. So it took me only 19 days to complete, which is a little bit insane, but that happens sometimes. And as I said, the yarn was gifted for Christmas, so it would have been 75.50 euros for the 5 skeins that I got, but because they were gifted, I'm not going to count that. And the pattern price was 8.52 euros, and so a total product cost would have been 84.02 euros, but because I only bought the pattern, that's the only price I paid, which I feel like it's pretty good. I always love a gift, like a project knitted with gifted yarn. That's always lovely. Makes it all the more special as well. And I haven't actually shown that to my brother-in-law, but maybe I should send him a picture of it because I really enjoyed this knit. And I would really like to knit a legs pullover now for myself, but also for my partner. I think I would really like to make a legs pullover for a man. I think my partner won't like the saddle shoulder on him. He's got pretty broad shoulders, so that might make them look even bigger. But maybe for my dad or something, that might be something that I could do. Because I just think it's a lovely project and it's quite quick. So that's always good when you're knitting for a man that's taller usually than me. Like pretty usually, because I'm pretty small. And yeah, I knitted the size medium and I really enjoyed this. There will be a project vlog coming hopefully next week, and if you've been wondering how I do the trick that I do to have knitted ribbing, I'll hopefully have a clip of that in that video. I have a clip, like I filmed it, but I don't know if it's good enough quality, if it's easy to understand, so I'll have that out anyway. And if it's still not clear to you, you can let me know under that video, which will be out next week, as I said. I think that's it about this project, because I didn't do any modification. I don't have that much else to say. But let's talk about the first whip of today's video, which is the November vest by Petite, which again I'm knitting in Gilliatt by Natura. I didn't mention, but this is a worsted weight, I think, woolen spun yarn, which is 100% wool, merino wool, and this one is in the colorway Bleu. So a little bit of a lighter blue, really pretty. And this pattern is an Oliver brioche vest, so without any sleeves, and you knit the button band as you go, which is quite nice. This is where I'm at. So not a ton of progress. I would have liked to have done a little bit more on the body, but I did manage to do an armhole in the double knitting. I've got ends to weave in, but that's okay. And I just started the second one, which you can see here. But as I said, this project hurts my arm a bit. I am honestly, unfortunately, debating frogging it, just because I don't want to hurt my arm more, because I want to keep knitting. But I know that if I go back to knitting on this, it's either going to take me a month to knit on, because I'll have to take a ton more breaks than I've been doing, which I've already taken a lot of breaks whilst knitting this. Or, I mean, yeah, it's either going to take me a month, or if I want to finish it by the kind of deadline that I had, which is my grandma's birthday in April, then I'm gonna hurt myself even more, and I don't really want to do that. Or if I should frog it entirely and just maybe cast on something else that doesn't hurt me. But I feel like this is such a good project for my grandma. I think she would love wearing it. So I'm kind of bummed about it, because also I've been putting a ton of work into it. But the more I think about it, like the more reasonable it would be for me to frog this and maybe do something else later. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts. I mean, I can already see the comments telling me to frog this, but I really wanted to have this done for my grandma, so I would be pretty, like, it's not even about the amount of time I put into it, it's more like, even though my grandma doesn't know that I've been knitting this for her, I mean, I've got tears in my eyes talking about it now, but I really wanted to do this for her, so. But I think she would tell me that I shouldn't hurt myself for a project, even if it wasn't for her, so. Oh god, I did not mean to cry today. I'm okay. So, this knit, I'll talk about it and we'll see if it comes up again in the next podcast, but this is a gorgeous Oliver brioche pattern. It's knit, the button band, as I said, is knitted as you go, so you actually cast on with the button band, the back neck, and then once you've done a little bit of that, you start shaping the back with the increases and with armhole increases as well under the arms. And then you start the shoulders. When you do one side, it's pretty seamless for the button band, but on the other side, on the cast on side, you've got to do a kitchen stitch, I think it was, and I'm really bad at doing kitchen stitches, so it's not looking the neatest, but I think that's okay. And then I had started the body. I'm adding, the one modification I'm doing is that I'm adding buttonholes in the button band, so I've done one. And then I'm almost ready to do the second one on the body, and I think I wanted to do 4, if not 5, I think. So I would still have quite a long way to do on the body as well. And then I did the armhole on the sleeve. So what you do is you just pick up stitches around the arm, and I mean, I can show you here because I've got it on the needle. You cast on stitches with, I think it's called the cable cast on, to set up the 1x1 like Italian cast on for the double knitting, and then you knit it. You basically knit one row, and then when you knit back, you knit 2 together with 1 stitch from the picked up stitches of the armhole. And then once you've done the whole armhole, you kitchen stitch it together as well under the arm, and I think it's not looking again the neatest. I think this side is a little bit better than up top, but also you can see, I think this at the bottom, it's not the neatest either, but it almost looks like I've got too many stitches, I think. But I think if I block it, you know, because the body is going to bloom, I think it would look okay. But again, maybe I should just forget. So we'll see what I decide. I mean, to be fair, right now I can't even knit on my smaller projects that usually wouldn't hurt my arm, so we'll see when I get better, because yeah. Also, the reason why I haven't been uploading videos that much is because I've had pain in my eye, in my right eye, which gives me a lot of headaches, and so I can't bear watching a screen that much, and I'm working on a screen all day for my day job, and so I just couldn't edit videos for like, I had vlogs to edit, and that takes me like 7 hours a week, so I couldn't do that on top of my job. So if there's less videos, it's because the pain is coming back. Right now it's almost gone, so fingers crossed it stays that way. But yeah, it's just not my month, and that's okay. That happens sometimes. That's life. You've got ups and you've got downs, and right now it's a little bit of a down time. But you may have seen that I did one live stream, which was very exciting. I think the sound wasn't really good, so if I do another live stream, I'll try to buy a mic for that, or I'll try to use this one. But yeah, let me know if you liked the live stream, if you want more. We can do more frequently. We'll see. But let's talk about my next project. I'm so excited for this one. This is the girl dress by VertKnit, which I'm knitting in Knitting for Olive pure silk in the colorway Olive, which is 100% burette silk, and it's 250 meters for 50 grams. I've got 12 because I bought the yarn before she had put out the pattern, and she had only put out like estimates, and because I want it to be quite long and I want to do a back modification to add more coverage, I just bought a lot of skeins, which I'm probably gonna end up with leftovers. If you don't know the girl dress, I'll have a picture up obviously, but it is a gorgeous kind of wrapped dress with, you've got like the original pattern's got 2 bodice panels that overlap on top of each other, and then they're joined at the waist, and it's I think an A-line skirt, and then you've got spaghetti straps that go from your shoulder all the way down to the waist. So not a lot of coverage. So what I'm gonna do is I've got 2 bodice panel now. So I've finished both of those, which if I were following the pattern, if I wasn't going to make any modification, I would need to do only those 2 and then join them already, but I'm actually going to make 2 more for the back. So I'll try to show you. They're not blocked, and I do have to block them just to make sure I'm on gauge. I think I am, but just to make sure before I do the last 2. But it's going to look a little bit like this. I mean, I don't know where my waist is exactly, but you kind of get the vibe. And so I want to knit 2 more to have that same shaping at the back, hopefully high enough that it hides my bra. I am on stitch gauge, but I'm not on row gauge. So I'm using 3mm needles, which is what, no, the pattern recommends 2.75. So I've gone up a tiny bit to get stitch gauge, but my row gauge is off. So I've had to do a little bit of calculations to modify the amount of rows I'm doing, and also the frequency of the increases, because I've got more rows to make, but I want the same number of stitches at the end of my panel. There's a really good explanation at the end of the pattern to let you know how to calculate your different row gauge, but then it's a bit confusing to get your head around what you're supposed to do if you want to modify the frequency of those increases. So it took me a bit of time to get it right, but I think I've got it. So I'm just going to block it to make sure, but I think I'm good. And I've had someone reach out to me on Instagram because she's also knitting it for her wedding dress, which is so exciting. And she's a little bit further along than me. And so she asked me a question about something she didn't understand, and we tried to figure it out together. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not very clear. The pattern is a little bit confusing. So we'll see once I'm there, and hopefully she'll have figured it out by then and she can let me know so that it's a little bit less confusing for me, and I can let you guys know what happens. Also, I'm filming a project vlog for this, so hopefully I'll have even more information and like tips maybe on this project if you want to make it for yourself. But yeah, I've been really enjoying working on this. It's quite mindless for now. Once I had the math figured out, it's just knitting triangles with some increases. I've got to make 2 more, so that's still going to take me a while, but I'm really glad that I started quite early because I want to finish it by August, hopefully. But it means I don't have to rush it. I can pick this up whenever I want. And this was one of the things that I worked on when my arm was a tiny bit painful, but not too much, that I could still work on something. because it's just pretty like on tiny needles, so I don't know, it just didn't hurt that much. Like it didn't hurt, but because, yeah, anyways. So I think that's all I've got to say for this project. Obviously not that much to share, and I don't know where I'll be in the next podcast. Okay, next up. I think I had asked you guys what I should cast on next as a sort of mindless project. One of you suggested starting a sock, which was one of the options, because it was going to be quick. The socks are not quick for me, but I decided to cast one on anyways, because if you've seen my latest vlog, which came out last week, I've been trying to do a little bit more cardio, and I saw Paige from the knitting page did a pedal and pearl segment on Instagram where she knits on something while she's cycling in her home, not outside in the world. And so I thought that would be a great motivation for me to cycle a bit more, to do a bit more cardio. So that's what I've been doing as well. And so I cast on the Quilty cabin socks by Crooked River Crochet. And I mean, they're looking quite cute. As I said, I don't have that much because I'm pretty slow at knitting socks, especially because I'm only knitting on them when I'm doing on the bike. I did knit the color work off the bike because there's not that many floats, but there are like 2 rows where you have to do floats, and so it was just a little bit easier. Well, you don't have to, but I wanted to do the floats, and so it was just easier to do it off the bike. I feel like I messed up the pattern though. Did I mess up the pattern? I think I did. Oh well. That's okay. I'll have to check the colorwork pattern, but you can see I've got less rows at the top here and then at the bottom for the star. Oopsie. Anyways, so this is a sock that you start with 2x2 ribbing. I mean, that's what the pattern recommends. You don't have to, but I really wanted to do 2x2 ribbing, so that I followed it. And then you start the colorwork chart. You go up a needle size for the colorwork chart, which is what I did. And then for my size, which is size 5, you're supposed to do another row of the colorwork chart. I didn't want the sock to be too tall. I want it to be quite tiny, or like a shorty, and so I'm already on the heel. I don't know how that's gonna look, to be completely honest. I think this may be a little bit too small, but I can't really wrap my head around what it's gonna look like, so I'm just gonna knit it, and if it's looking a bit frumpy, I mean, I think I'm just vibing at the moment. If you can't tell, I'm just casting on a project if it makes me feel happy, and if it doesn't, I'm just not gonna bother with it. Like, if it doesn't look good, I'll probably still go with it because I mean, it's still gonna be cute. But yeah, so then you go back down. Once you finish the colorwork chart, you go back down to the first needle size. I'm using 2.5mm needles for the main part of the sock, and then for the colorwork I'm using 3mm needles, which is usually what I do for socks. And now I think it's a heel flap and gusset that's recommended for the heel. And yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be knitting away on this. It's so cute. I love the color. So let me talk about the yarn. I am using Les Petits Parisiens BFL Sock Twist in the colorway Ecorce, which is, let me check because I always forget. It is 80% blue face Leicester and 20% nylon, and it's 365 meters for 100 grams. And the contrast color is Arwetta by Filcolana in the colorway Raw White, which I think is 101. And they pair really well together. I think they're really quite cute. And this is leftover from another project, so that's one way you can use your sock yarn for sure. So small mindless project. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. I mean, it will always work out and I will always be able to wear them, so that's okay. But let's talk about my next cast on. I have got a lot, as I said. I needed mindless projects. I mean, I would have loved to have more work done on the Dagmar, but it's just a little bit too painful, unfortunately. So I cast on a zipper sweater light man, but I'm just using that pattern because I have it, but I'm actually kind of making it for me. So this is a pattern by Petite, which I knitted last year for my partner. Now I'm using that same pattern for myself. And this is where I'm at. So I'm still on the yoke, on the raglan. I shared this yarn combination before in a vlog earlier this year as well. And this is just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So let's talk about the yarn and then I'll talk about the construction. I am using the Fiber Company Cumbria Fingering in the colorway Blend Natura. This is 100 grams for 300 meters and it's 90% wool, 10% mohair, made in Peru. And I'm pairing it with Sunday Fiber Co. So they're almost the same name, but they're not the same brand. This is a hand dyer from Canada, and this is her Suri lace in the colorway Natural Wonder. So it's 65% baby suri alpaca, 35% silk, and it's 320 meters per 50 grams. And as you can see, they're not quite the same color, so it gives a beautiful marling, which I absolutely adore. And this pattern is a raglan, quite oversized sweater with a zipper that you sew in at the end. So what you do is you cast on with the Jesus Magic Cast On. You knit 20 centimeters of ribbing. I think the pattern recommends 1x1 twisted rib for the women's version, but I didn't want to do it, so it's just regular 1x1 ribbing for me. And then you fold it down and knit the live stitches with the provisional cast on stitches, and then you do put some stitches aside on the inside here and on the other side as well. Here you can see they're not tacked down, which you'll go back later on to do a double knitting facing for the zipper, but for now I'm just knitting the yoke, which is, as I said, is a raglan. You've got German chartreuse shaping in the back neck, and now I'm just knitting the raglans. It's a 3-stitch raglan, which is quite cute, and yeah, I've got quite a lot more rows to do. I'm knitting the size small. If I wanted it to be, I think the recommended is 20 to 25, I want to say. So if I wanted to get that ease, I would have knitted a size extra small, but because I wanted to be a little bit more oversized, like a bit flowy, really like a cozy sweater to wear, so I decided to do a size small to get more positive ease, hopefully. And I can still change it later on in the pattern, because the only changes are made when you split for sleeves, I think, or like just before that. So like I can see how it fits as an extra small before I actually decide if I'm gonna go for the small, but that's what I'm leaning towards. And yeah, I mean, it's a simple raglan stockinette project. I'm really enjoying it. It just hurts my arm a little bit, and this yarn combination is gorgeous. So, and if you don't know, I think the Fiber Company is closing, so I mean, maybe they're already closed by now, but yeah, I'm happy to at least have tried this yarn from them before they're closed. This was meant to be a really mindless project to go with knitting the Dagmar sweater, which is an all-over cable sweater, and this was supposed to be like very low priority, but because of my arm pain I was gonna maybe focus on this a bit more. Now I don't know, I just don't know. So this is a kind of a weird podcast to film, because I don't really know what to tell you about what's gonna be coming. Last project to talk about, and it's a little bit of an acquisition as well, because I bought the yarn, which I know what you're gonna say, you're supposed to be on a yarn ban, but this is one of the exceptions that I had already mentioned that I was gonna probably purchase, and I did. So, if you don't know, my sister is pregnant and she's gonna be having a little girl in April, hopefully, like depending on when the baby actually wants to come. And so I really wanted to knit something for her. I've got yarn in stash for, like, I've got leftovers of 100% merino wool, which could technically work, but my sister already has 2 young girls and it's going to be her 3rd kid, and I don't think she wants to be spending time washing a baby garment that's, you know, probably going to get dirty pretty quickly, or that she's going to grow out of pretty quickly by hand. So I decided to buy some superwash merino. I had a little bit of sock yarn that I could have used, but I didn't have enough for a baby garment, at least not for the one I wanted to be making. So I bought it, and so I decided to try a new to me yarn, which is the baby merino from Drops, and that's what I got. So this is 100% superwash merino wool, and I got the 02 color, which I think is the natural white, and the 38, which is the olive. And with this, I'm making the Seaside Set by Petite. I've really wanted to make a striped sweater for this. If I have time, I'll also make the pants, but that will depend on the arm again. I said I wasn't going to mention it again, but it's a little bit difficult not to. And so yeah, it's so cute. It's so tiny. I'm knitting the size 2 to 4 month. I'm on gauge apparently, so hopefully it will fit how it should. But look how cute. It's so tiny. Like, how can a baby fit in this? Like, that's so small. Anyways, so this is a really cute raglan sweater, but you've got buttons on the side so that it's a little bit easier to put over the baby's head, which I really liked that detail as well. The buttonholes are pretty tiny. I've got 2 out of the 3 for that size. But hopefully, I think I have buttons upstairs that can work for this. I'll need to check, but I think they're like wooden buttons. I'm a little bit scared I'm not going to be able to like tighten them enough so that they don't fall, but hopefully I can manage to do that. And yes, so the idea is that this is the white as the main color, the green is going to be the stripes, and if I have time I'll also make the pants in this olive color. And also I would like to do the baby bear bonnet by Knitting for Olive in this white, which I think would be so cute. That would be adorable if I can make that work. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty mindless project. It's a raglan again. It's tiny, so I mean, it should go by fast, but I can't really work on it. And yeah, there's no short reshaping in this, but I mean, it's for babies, so I don't think that's gonna matter, hopefully. I think I'm almost finished with the raglan, because you knit the raglan, but you also knit this like kind of button placket as you go, which is 1x1 ribbing, I didn't mention. So I think I'm almost done with that placket, and then I can keep doing the raglan, and also that I think that's about when you start the stripes. So I'm very excited to do that. I've not done stripes in forever, and I've been craving a project with stripes. I've been dreaming of the Olga sweater by Petite in a navy blue with a tweed yarn, which I think will happen one day, but not this season. For sure. But yeah, it's been a really lovely project. I thought for sure, because this is knit also on 3mm needles, I thought for sure this wouldn't hurt my arm, but it does. Such is life. I'm being very dramatic. As you can tell, I have no idea when the next podcast will be, because I have no idea when I'll have anything to share with you. So I've got a few ideas for the videos to make, so hopefully we'll still see each other from time to time. But yeah, I hope to see you soon. Let me know what you've been knitting on. As always, I always love to hear. If you want more regular updates from me, be sure to follow me on Instagram, because that's where I post more often, even though I don't post that much either. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!